My name is Tracy. Standing on this stage, looking at the shocked faces in the room, I can still feel the lingering anger and the satisfaction of finally taking control. The music has died, the lights are blindingly bright, and the once joyous wedding has turned into a battlefield. Just moments ago, Bianca, my brother Ethan's fiancée, shrieked at me, calling me a liar and a jealous loser. Denise, Ethan's future mother-in-law, threatened to blacklist me from every venue. And Ethan, my own brother, tried to smear my reputation, saying I was unstable. But little did they know I held all the cards. Let me take you back to the beginning of this fiasco. I come from a family where my parents, Henry and Linda, always favored Ethan. They saw him as the golden child, the one with a bright future. I, on the other hand, was the quiet one, the sister who seemed content with a simple life. My parents were overly indulgent towards Ethan. They supported his every dream, but when it came to me, they often overlooked my needs. I remember when I was struggling to make ends meet, working long hours in my field of distressed commercial real estate. I specialized in buying dying properties, like the old Sea Breeze Resort. 3 years ago, it was on the verge of bankruptcy, a crumbling mess. But I saw its potential. I poured my heart, soul, and every penny I had into renovating it, turning it into the most exclusive venue in the area. I kept my success a secret from my family. I knew that if Ethan found out, he would only see me as a source of money. So, I continued to live a frugal life, wearing second-hand clothes and driving an old car. Then came Ethan's wedding. I was excited to celebrate with my family, but little did I know what was in store. When I arrived at the Sea Breeze Resort in a $15 thrift store dress, Bianca took one look at me and decided to make me her target. "You shouldn't have come. The stench of your cheap clothes is ruining my party," she whispered to me before deliberately emptying a glass of expensive wine down the front of my white dress. The music stopped and the crowd gasped. Bianca stood there, smirking, waiting for me to break down. Denise, a tough as nails HR manager at a large corporation, quickly stepped in. She grabbed my arm and marched me to the vendor table in the kitchen, telling me to stay there and not talk to anyone important. It was as if I was a burden, an embarrassment to the family. Ethan, standing just a few feet away, watched all this happen. He took a sip of his champagne and turned his back on me. That was the moment my sadness turned into cold determination. I sat at the vendor table, watching Bianca spin on the dance floor. She seemed so confident, but I knew it was all an act. She was marrying into a family she thought was better than her, in a venue she couldn't afford on her own. So, she chose me as the easiest target to boost her own ego. But Bianca made a huge mistake. She thought I was weak because I was quiet. She assumed I was a servant because I sat at the vendor table. What she didn't know was that I was the owner of this place. As I watched the staff moving around, I checked my watch. It was 6:04. I knew it was time to take action. I pulled out my phone and opened the resort's management app. I scrolled down to the contract section. Clause 14B, the morality and harassment protocol, was my weapon. I had inserted this clause after a previous client had harassed a staff member. It gave me the right to terminate an event immediately if the client or their guests harassed the staff or management. I sent a text to Marcus, the head of security. Code 14B. The bride execute immediately. Marcus looked at his phone, then at me, and his eyes widened. He started moving towards the stage. I stood up from the vendor table and walked onto the stage. The music died, and the room went silent. Bianca shrieked when she saw me, calling me drunk and a loser. Denise threatened to ban me from the property. But I held up my phone, showing them the digital contract.
I'm invoking clause 14b.
You poured wine on me, called me poor, and humiliated me. I'm not just the groom's sister. I'm the owner of this resort, I said firmly. The silence that followed was deafening. Bianca's mouth hung open, Denise froze, and Ethan dropped his glass. I continued. I bought this place 3 years ago and rebuilt it from the ground up. You violated the contract, and your event is terminated. You have 10 minutes to leave. Ethan tried to fight back, trying to discredit me. But I was ready. I walked to the DJ booth and cast my phone to the giant screen, showing the mortgage deed of my parents' house and Ethan's delinquent business loan. I was the lender for both. You have until Monday to apologize, or I'll file foreclosure, I warned. With that, Ethan ran, dragging Bianca with him, and Denise was escorted out by security. Now, as I stand here, pouring myself a glass of wine, I look at the guests differently. They no longer see the girl in a ruined dress. They see the woman with the power. I've finally broken free from the chains of my family's neglect and abuse. The debt is due, and the relationship as I knew it is over. Sometimes, power isn't given. It's earned, and I've earned every bit of it.